Hey, welcome to BSP TV. I've got Daniel from BGC Consult, and today we're talking about are you leaving money on the table with your sales? Really, it's about you and building a great sales thing. Daniel, how are you today?
I'm really good, thanks, Kevin.
That's
We were just
good.
having a bit of a laugh before I came on. I got a little bit of cramp, and Kevin started laughing and said, "Oh, I hope you don't do that through the show." And one thing I'm talking about today is mastery. And why have I got cramp is because I did something really silly Saturday morning. I went with some of my rugby colleagues down to a boxing fitness, and it was 45 minutes of boxing fitness. And one of the guys is trying to get mastery in boxing. And I had to do skipping for 7 minutes. I thought my head was going to fall off. I don't quite think I'm going to get mastery there, Kevin, but I'm certainly feeling it today. So, guys, today we're talking a little bit about mastery and mastery in sales, especially. And Kevin and I had a bit of a pre-talk about it. And we're going to talk a little bit about the theory of mastery and some of the stages that we go through. And then we're going to try and relate that back to our business, because Kevin challenged me on a couple of things. And I was like, yeah, I absolutely agree with that. So, look, Kevin, if we start off with what is mastery, well, a gentleman called Benjamin Bloom, he was in the educational field, and he did this pyramid called taxonomy. And the pyramid was very much about the stages of learning. And I came up with, 4 stages of mastery, where if you think about driving, it's the unconsciously incompetent. So if you think about your kids have been watching you drive for 10 years from the age of about 6 to 16, and they sort of understand what is entailed. You sit in the seat, turn on the engine, and you go and drive. And then the stage 2 is consciously incompetent. That's when you put them in day 1. They turn 16, they get their piece of paper from the licensing authority. You put them in the seat, and they're just the like deers in a headlight out there, doing 20 or 30k, and you tend to go around the shopping centre car park on a Sunday morning first before you go out onto the road. And then we move into the 3rd stage, and that's consciously competent. And that's when you've just passed your test. You know what you're doing. You can have the radio on. You've got a passenger talking to you, and you sort of mastered it in some way. But there is the 4th stage, and I'm sure this has happened to everybody out there. Have you ever driven somewhere, Kevin, and thought, oh my goodness, how did I get here? I don't remember the last 20 minutes.
Don't remember the last 10 minutes. I don't remember anything from when I got in the car and when I got home. It's like, fortunately not in the beer scooter though. Yeah.
And this stage is from a guy called Alan Chapman, and he says it's the 4th stage is unconsciously competent. And you and I talked a little bit about that and challenged me on it. And I've sort of thought, okay, let's put it into the steps that we need to do for mastery. So first of all, we need to learn about how it works. So if we are going to do a sales pitch, we need to really understand what is a sales pitch, what is in there, like a capability statement. What are we going to talk about? And you've probably, as a junior salesperson, watched a senior person make many of these presentations. So that's that unconsciously incompetent. I sort of know how it works. I need to know a little bit more about it. And then we go into that practice stage. I call it practice, practice, practice. And, if you're learning to drive, or if you're learning to play bridge, you probably need about 45 minutes a day for a month to actually, not quite master something, but really get to understand how it works.
Can I go back to your driving example, just
Sure.
really briefly? I think that the unconscious incompetent is, if we bring it back to driving, it's like, your teenager who's been playing Mario Kart, and they're unconsciously incompetent. They think they know what they're doing, but they really don't have any idea. As soon as they sit behind the wheel, they realize how different this is to Mario Kart, right? And they go, oh my God, and this is serious stuff. If I hit something stays damaged. I can't just bling, refresh. And that's the moment that they realize that they're consciously not competent.
Yeah, exactly. When I put my 16-year-old in the car recently, probably 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, passed his test, that reality of I've got control of this, 1-ton car, and I can injure somebody. I think that reality set in, and you see them just stiff and pulling over to the left, and oh my goodness, nearly hitting parked cars, so he doesn't get hit on his side type thing. And you can really relate that into business and into sales. I've gone out with a lot of salespeople. I've witnessed a lot of salespeople that are in that deer in the headlights. I've gone to a sales meeting. I haven't really practiced it. I haven't really got a plan. I'm just going to wing it. And I get a bit beaten up by the other person because I haven't brought pricing. I haven't really brought products, and I haven't really had a spiel. And I haven't really understood what that person is wanting.
Absolutely. And it's like, for them, the unconscious incompetence comes from watching that expert, and they make it seem so effortless that they go, hey, anyone can do this. And then they're on the road and they're face to face with a client, and they go, oh my God, like the teenager first time in the car, this is much harder than I thought. And that's why it's great to have an instructor with them to help them. And as you said, then that practice so that they can become consciously competent over a short period of time. But that's really, it's through dedicated practice. It's not just from winging it until you get it. It's from knowing what the cues are, from knowing what you need to have, from knowing, it's from a position of knowledge rather than a position of, I'm just going to make stuff up as I go along.
Exactly. And look, a lot of people fall into that trap. Look, I know a lot of business owners that are technically good at what they do, but when they come to sell what they do, they just deer in headlights. They've got their messaging wrong, and they don't understand the customer. They're not challenging the status quo. They're not trying to put that customer into their jail and show the freedom, and they're not taking them through a set of what I call cues through something like a capability statement. And I see it a lot. And if we can help people today understand that actually selling is a mastery, and actually you do need to put time in it. I mean, they say the true master is about 10,000 hours, and that's someone like a doctor or a pilot before you really truly master something. You were talking to me about 10,000 hours, a bit of a myth before.
And I believe that the 10,000 hours, and my golf game proves that 10,000 hours is a big fat lie. It's one, it's about dedicated training to improve rather than just going out there and whacking the ball. Two, it works better in some environments than others. And we discussed this true mastery, and I said, well, your true sales masters, never let them fall into the trap of that unconscious, competent side, because if they do, then they're going to miss the cues of their buyer. They're going to be missing the really critical, important pieces of information. Roger Federer, he tried a whole lot of stuff before he took up tennis, right? He was only 15 years old when he took up tennis, which is really bizarre for a professional tennis player. Normally, they're just doing that one sport. And you compare that to a Tiger Woods, but in golf, it really only is you versus the course. Whereas in a game like tennis, it is you versus your opponent, and coaching techniques and technology and everything is changing so much all the time that by the time you've done 10,000 hours, the whole game's changed.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's important to remember that the 10,000 hours isn't the be all and end all. It's absolutely having the right processes, the right systems, and, as you said, dedicated to learning the craft behind what you're doing, and you'll be absolutely phenomenally better than someone who doesn't learn that craft. But if you rely on that to go into, I can go do this on automatic pilot, you're still going to get beat, right? Your opposition is still going to beat you if you're in that unconscious zone. So the 10,000 hours, absolutely, you should apply your trade and learn every aspect of it.
Look, I'm not saying that you have to do 10,000 hours to be a great salesperson. We're just saying that if you want to be a master of something, like a doctor, like a pilot, that's the type of time they put in. Now, you talked about this unconsciously competent. And I agree with you. If you go into a sales meeting autopilot and you walk out and you think, oh, I can't remember that meeting, you probably missed all the cues and so on. So having that stage and recognizing it's really important. But look, there's two more stages that I think you need to have in terms of mastery. The other stage is step 3 in mastery, is you need to be assessed somehow. So if you think about, I am going to be a pilot, you get assessed, and you have ongoing training. So in sales, it's always good to have a sales leader come in and just assess sometimes what you're doing. And it could be somebody in or outside your organization. I've had it where I've been in large organizations selling, and there would be a third party come into the sales presentation, sit at the back of the room, and they probably gave us some coaching before the tender, and afterwards they give us a debrief of coaching afterwards. So I think it's always important to not only know your material and learn your material, but be assessed and be coached. And the last stage in all mastery is become the master, become a coach yourself, and learn that way. Because I think when you start coaching people, you learn yourself. Teachers learn by teaching. And that's what I think, if you apply that type of mastery in your sales and marketing in your organization, repeatedly do it in those stages, and identify, like you said, that unconsciously competent, and don't fall into that trap. I think that's the beginning of mastery in sales. Now, the program was about don't leave money on the table. So how does that now relate to don't leave money on the table? Exactly that. Be aware in your meetings. Listen to your cues. Don't necessarily talk first, talk second. Understand what your customer wants. Respond to your customer. Listen and seek to respond. Don't don't just respond because that's what you want to do. Really take in what that person's saying. I've got a program that you can do, talks a little bit about this type of selling and really understanding how to sell, and mastery is a big part of it. But it's the psychology of selling as well that we've got to understand that. And so, guys, if you're out there and you are struggling with your sales, then jump onto my blogs, jump onto my website. There's a few tips there. You can even book a meeting with me, and I can take you through a free 45-minute on what you're doing now and what maybe you need to change.
Absolutely. So, Daniel, thanks for sharing your knowledge. Thanks for sharing that growth journey that people need to go to. As you said, people can reach out and get 45 minutes of you. So thanks very much for being so generous with your time and with your knowledge and helping people bring some small business out. Thank you.
Pleasure. Bye.
I'll catch you later.